Right, we now move on to agenda item 6, exclusion of the press and the public. Tim Howes, Director of Corporate Governance and Monitoring Officer, to introduce the item under 21.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Members, my initial recommendation was that this matter should be considered in private because, in my opinion, it was likely to relate to information about the financial or business affairs of the Council and legal advice being provided to the Council. The reason why I did not think it appropriate to consider that information public is that if we disclosed it, it would prejudice the Council's case at the planning appeal and would increase the risks of costs being awarded against the Council. I therefore considered that it was in the public interest that the information was not disclosed. However, since making that recommendation, I have received a number of representations from members and also from bodies outside the Council requesting that we deal with this matter, at least in part, in public. I have considered those representations carefully and think that there is a way for the committee to consider the planning background, history and context of these appeals in public, while still considering the legal advice in private. That would, subject to member approval, mean that we can circulate a copy of the report with the legal advice redacted to the public and councillors not on the committee, and then the committee could consider that redacted report in public. The committee would then exclude the press and public whilst it receives and considers legal advice, and would then go back into public session to make their decision. So in short, the committee had three options: to deal with the whole matter in private as originally recommended. Secondly, to deal with the background, history and context in public, but receive the legal advice in private. And thirdly, to deal with the whole pink report, including the legal advice in public. I should advise that as monitoring officer, I recommend in the strongest possible terms that members do not deal with the whole original pink report in public. That is because it would prejudice the Council's case at the appeal and would increase the risk of costs being awarded against the Council. Therefore, I now recommend to members that the committee consider the background, history and context of these appeals in public, and to assist, a redacted report will be circulated to the public and those councillors who are not members of the planning committee. Secondly, that the committee excludes the press and public whilst they are receiving and considering legal advice on the matter. And thirdly, that the committee then revert back to public session to make their decision. Chairman, that's my recommendation.
Thank you. I call upon the speakers now. Councillor Bayford.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I did come here this evening to ask that this session be held in public, and I welcome what Mr. Howes has said, because accepting that there may be certain issues that should be held in private, I was going to come along and suggest that you seek to see some of it in private, some of it in public. That's what you're proposing, and I think actually that's quite reasonable.
Thank you. Councillor Ashby.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, my whole point to be made was that at least some in part of the information should be held in public, and that was my case for appeal. So I agree with Councillor on that matter that, sorry.
You can call me Bob.
No, sorry, Bob. Sorry, Officer Howes, I was going to say. On his proposal for the mid-proposal on the case. Thank you.
Thank you. I move that the officer's recommendation is adopted. And will I have a seconder? Yes, correct.
Yes.
Option 2, yes.
Yes, it is option 2, yeah.
Now take it to the vote. Yes, you may.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it goes some way, doesn't it? It's like a curious egg. But more importantly, I was, like other councillors on the planning committee, have had the benefit of reading the report, and to the love of me, I can't find anything that's going to put us in a worse position anyway. But what I would say is I will not be supporting option 2 because I would have gone for option 3, but I'll probably get voted down, so hey ho.
Councillor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have to agree with Councillor Gregory. Having read the report, I don't see any financial implications in there that is going to affect the council at appeal. So therefore, I prefer to go for option 3.
Anybody else wish to speak? Okay, put it to the vote then. I move that the officer's recommendation be adopted. That is option 2.
There go, all the hands go up.
Members in favour of option 2?
Here they go. Same old. Alright, same old. Look at it.
Not enough.
That's it, they got you on film. Thank you.
Those against?
Yeah, well done, Conservatives. Well done, Conservatives.
Yeah, abstention? Yeah. The motion is carried.
That's it.
We can live with that. Option 2. Because that's just the legal advice.
We just have a short adjournment so we can circulate the documents. Thank you.
They're going ahead with it? I've time to read them.
We've already had them. The committee have had them. They're pink papers.